The room went silent the moment Grandpa's hand slammed against the polished oak table. "Did the account transfer go through?" he demanded, his voice sharp enough to slice through the chatter and laughter that had filled the air just moments before. I froze, my fork suspended halfway to my mouth, the frosting from my birthday cake clinging stubbornly to it. Everyone's eyes shifted toward me, their smiles stiffening, their laughter evaporating like mist under the midday sun. I blinked at him, my heart suddenly pounding. "What transfer?" I asked, my voice trembling. That was when I noticed it, the way my relatives avoided each other's gaze, the way my uncle's fingers twitched nervously against his wine glass, the way my cousin's smile dropped like a mask. A suffocating tension wrapped around the table, choking the joy out of my birthday celebration. Grandpa's face darkened, his knuckles white as he pounded the table again. Then who took it? The echoes of his fury hung in the air. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. It was my birthday, but in that moment, it felt like the beginning of a war. And I, unknowingly, had just been dragged into the center of it. I need to take you back a little before I unravel the chaos that followed that birthday night. My name is Claire, and I had always believed that my family was a little dysfunctional but harmless. We bickered, we competed, we threw sharp words like darts at each other during holidays, but I thought that was normal. Beneath all of that, I assumed there was love, or at least respect. But I was wrong. You see, my grandfather was the patriarch of our family. A self-made man who had built an empire in real estate and agriculture. Everyone respected him, some even feared him. He was stern, meticulous, and terrifyingly perceptive. But beneath his iron exterior, he had always treated me differently. I was his favorite granddaughter, the one he said reminded him of his late wife. He never said it openly, but I could feel it, the way he softened when he looked at me, the way his voice lost its edge whenever I walked into a room. My cousins hated it. My aunts whispered about it. And my uncles. Well, they despised me for it. That birthday, I turned 26. Grandpa insisted on hosting the party at his mansion. Everyone was invited, every uncle, every aunt, every cousin, even those I hadn't spoken to in years. At the time, I thought it was his way of uniting the family, of reminding us that despite our differences, blood still tied us together. But I didn't know he had something bigger in mind. A week before the party, Grandpa had apparently set up a private bank transfer. He was moving a substantial sum of money into an account that, unknown to me, was meant to be mine. He wanted to secure my future, to ensure I had the freedom to live without depending on anyone. The only problem? That money never reached me. And now, at the table, in front of everyone, Grandpa had realized it. The silence that followed his question was unbearable. I could hear the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner, each second like a hammer against my skull. "What do you mean, Claire doesn't know about the transfer?" my Aunt Lydia finally muttered, her voice brittle. Grandpa's eyes narrowed. "Don't play games with me." I gave clear instructions. The money was meant to be moved to Claire's account. "Where is it?" My father shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He was the eldest son, but also the weakest when it came to standing against Grandpa. "Dad, maybe there's been a mistake." "Mistake?" Grandpa's voice thundered. "A mistake does not drain $500,000 from an account. Somebody redirected it. Somebody sitting right here." My stomach dropped. $500,000? I looked around the table, my eyes darting from face to face. My Uncle Victor avoided my gaze, his lips pursed. Aunt Lydia fidgeted with her necklace. Cousin Melissa bit her lips so hard I thought she might draw blood. "Claire," Grandpa said suddenly, turning to me. His eyes bored into mine. Did you authorize anyone to handle your accounts? I shook my head furiously. No, Grandpa. I didn't even know about this. That's when I saw it, a flicker, so brief I might have missed it if I wasn't paying attention. My cousin Daniel's expression faltered, his jaw tightening before he forced a smirk back onto his face. And in that split second, I knew. Someone at that table had stolen my inheritance. The party disintegrated after that. The music stopped, the laughter died, and all that remained was suspicion thick enough to choke on. Grandpa ordered everyone to stay seated until the truth was uncovered. But my family, they were experts at lying. Uncle Victor claimed he hadn't even known about the transfer. Aunt Lydia swore she was too busy with her boutique business to care about Grandpa's money. Cousin Melissa burst into tears, accusing everyone else of pointing fingers at her unfairly. I sat there, watching them tear each other apart, my chest tightening with a mix of anger and disbelief. How could they? How could family sink this low? Claire, Grandpa said quietly, leaning closer to me. Do not let them make you the fool. Watch carefully. The guilty always reveal themselves. And so, I did. For the next week after the party, I became an investigator in my own family. I checked my accounts, traced emails, even reviewed the calls I'd received in the past month. I started to notice patterns, phone calls I'd missed, documents I never signed but apparently authorized, bank statements I had never seen. But the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Someone close to me had forged my authorization. Someone who knew me well enough to mimic my details, my signature, even my mannerisms. That someone was Daniel. Daniel was my cousin, the charming, slick-tongued golden boy of the family. He always bragged about his business ventures, though none of them ever lasted long. He lived beyond his means, driving expensive cars, wearing designer clothes, taking vacations that didn't align with the modest income he claimed to earn. At the party, I remembered that flicker in his expression, the way his hand trembled when Grandpa mentioned the money. So I followed him, quietly, subtly. One evening, I trailed him to a high-end restaurant downtown. He was laughing, flashing his card, buying drinks for his friends like he was a millionaire. My chest burned with fury. The next morning, I hacked into his email. I knew his passwords. He'd once bragged about how simple they were. And there it was, confirmation of the transfer, signed under my name, redirected into an account he controlled. I felt sick. Betrayal has a taste. It's metallic, bitter, and it lingers at the back of your throat no matter how much water you drink. He had stolen from me. From Grandpa. From the family. And nobody else knew. But I wasn't going to confront him right away. Oh no. I wanted him to suffer. I wanted revenge. 2 weeks later, Grandpa called another family dinner. This time, it wasn't a celebration. It was a reckoning. I was ready. I had printed documents, emails, bank statements, all neatly stacked in my bag. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with a fierce determination. As we gathered around the same oak table, Grandpa wasted no time. I gave you all a chance to come clean, he said, his voice low but deadly. Tonight, we will hear the truth. I looked straight at Daniel. He smirked, leaning back in his chair as if none of this concerned him. Grandpa, I said, my voice steady. I know who did it. The room fell silent again. All eyes turned to me. Daniel forged my authorization and redirected the money into his account. Gasps filled the room. My aunt clutched her chest. My father's face went pale. Grandpa's eyes burned with rage. That's a lie. Daniel snapped, jumping to his feet. She's jealous. She's always been jealous of me. I slid the documents across the table. These say otherwise. Bank statements. Email confirmations. Your signature. Your password trail. Daniel's face drained of color. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Grandpa stood slowly, his cane pressing hard against the floor. You disgrace me, he said coldly. You disgrace this family. But Daniel wasn't done. His desperation twisted into venom. Why does she get everything, huh? Why does Claire always get to be the favorite? She didn't earn it. I did what any of us would have done if we had the chance. That was the moment the last thread of family loyalty snapped. You might think that was the end, but it wasn't. I didn't just expose Daniel. I destroyed him. With Grandpa's blessing, I pressed charges. Fraud, forgery, identity theft, the list was long. Daniel was arrested within days. His friends abandoned him, his assets were seized, his reputation shattered. But I didn't stop there. I knew my other relatives had watched silently, had even quietly hoped Daniel would succeed so they could benefit later. So I made sure Grandpa rewrote his will. Every cent was reallocated, to charities, to trusts, to foundations in my name. None of them would ever see a dime of his empire again. The family that once sneered at me, mocked me, treated me like an outsider, they now looked at me with fear. And Daniel? I visited him once in prison. He looked at me through the glass, his eyes burning with hatred. You ruined me, he hissed. I smiled. No, Daniel. You ruined yourself. I just lit the match. So here I am, months later, still feeling the echoes of that birthday night. The night my family's masks slipped, the night greed ripped us apart. I used to wish for a united family. Now, I understand something far more valuable. Respect is earned, but betrayal is unforgivable. Grandpa often tells me he's proud of how I handled it. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I've become just like him, ruthless, calculating, merciless. Then I remember Daniel's smirk, the forged signature, the betrayal in his eyes. And I realize, sometimes revenge isn't just justice. Sometimes, it's survival. The end.